Well. What it do, beef stew? What's going on with y'all? Montel Allen,
Man,
how you living, brother?
I'm living good, man. Blessed as always.
Yeah.
Better to be 6 feet above than 6 feet under, brother. So, we always doing good when it comes to that, man. So I can't complain. You know, we're living out here on the sunny West Coast.
Yeah,
But definitely got to give a shout out to people, the earthquake that hit San Francisco, that 5.5 that shook a
man.
little bit. Hope everybody
Yeah.
all right. Everybody's cool. I don't know if there was any damage or any casualties. Hopefully not, but I mean, give a big shout out to them, and make sure everything's okay. But we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, definitely, man. I know a couple of folks have said they felt the ground shake a little bit, and you feel vulnerable when things
Yeah.
like that happen. I've been through a handful of earthquakes for sure, but man, you never know when the earth gets to shaking.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
let's give a shout out. I see folks coming into the room. What's going on? The show can officially start. Seniors in the building. Mr.
Mhm.
Moderator running everything for us behind the scenes, keeping all the riffraff out. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Cox. Come on.
Big
Appreciate you,
shout.
brother. Appreciate you. Jim is in the building. Appreciate you, man. He was giving some props out. Shouts out to the session I did yesterday with my man JP High Tech. That was a great show. If you guys haven't seen that, hit the replay. But you know what we do here? Team No Sleep, social impact of sport. Today is October 26th. We got a couple of things we want to talk about. We don't have any shootings. We don't have any domestic violence. We don't
Well, pause on that one.
hold on.
Let's give
Okay, what you want to
yeah.
talk about?
No, let's just give our prayers out to the people in St. Louis, man. That incident happened the other day at
Mm,
that school.
yes.
Definitely prayers to the families that were affected, especially to that whole school and everything. Shout out to the St. Louis police, man, that responded within 4 minutes. From the things I read to
Yes.
get there to make sure they disarmed the suspect and all that, man. And just a big prayer, man. Every time we had these things, man. I mean, it's starting to become so common they're not even in front page stories no more, which is
Mm.
unfortunate. But
Well, we'll,
definitely want
we'll
to make
we'll
sure
bring
we
it
give
up
it.
though. Yeah, we,
Yeah.
we bring it up to make sure it doesn't lose sight. Like one of the stories we're gonna talk about tonight. We many of these stories we've talked about tonight. We've brought up in the past, and they're on the back page of the columns now. But we want to keep the conversation going. So yeah, appreciate you for bringing that up. Yeah, that's a good look right there to make sure we look out for folks. So, man, let's go and get into it. Right, first story is always social impact story. We want to talk about. Let me read the headline. Trans high school volleyball player uses a vicious spike, which seriously injured female opponent in highlight reel. A trans high school volleyball player uses a vicious spike, which seriously injured a female opponent. We've talked about the equity. We've talked about does it make sense? Is it right? Is it unjust? Is it unfair? All those things, right? For a transgender athlete to be playing on the other sex's sport. So you were born a man, you're now identify as a female, and you want to play women's volleyball or you want to swim with the women's team. Is that an unfair advantage? Do you now have a leg up, so to speak, right on your opponents and even on your teammates when you participate? We started this conversation a few months ago talking about swimming. I forgot the school that we were talking about, but now it's a volleyball high school team, and we actually have folks getting injured because they're being paired against each other, right? So I'll play this video just so you can see it. But Montel, while this is playing, give your insights on this particular thing right here, because again, we've talked about this concept, and now again we've got it showing there are actually injuries being occurred because of this type of action happening.
Yeah, I think that statement right there is the fairness. It's unfair. A former man that's now transitioned to a woman, and now he's playing the female sport. He has an unfair physical advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It's plain and simple. I mean, I believe the article even said that this transgender person has a 31-inch vertical. As now the former man as a transgender, and he's playing, and then he spikes the ball tremendously hard, hits a young lady, and now she has concussion. It's just unfair. He has an unfair physical advantage. Same thing with the swimming, unfair physical advantage. Same thing, I believe, we were discussing before we came online. There was a situation a few years ago, a transgender in MMA that fought a woman and seriously injured her. It's not. I mean, I don't know what lane they're supposed to be able to participate in athletics, because I do think they should participate.
Yeah.
But it can't be in that lane. That lane, it's unfair. It's just like if you take steroids, it's unfair advantage. If you take a drug, it's unfair. And they're born with a biological now unfair advantage, right? Muscles develop different. Probably a little bit stronger. You're differently structured as a male than you are as a woman. And now this person now is not physically hurt. It's just it's unfair, man. And if my daughter was participating in that, I'd be crying as well. I would have something to say, because I would think this person is now and only unfair advantage, but now it's taking away the development of another young lady that would want to play volleyball and get there because they're taking a roster spot and all that other good stuff. So again, I don't know what lane they're supposed to participate sports in.
Yeah.
But I think this is not the right one. This is not the correct one. It has to be either a co-ed league, or you need to play in the sport which you were physically born in, not as you identify, because then you don't have an unfair advantage. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, so good point. So I want to play exactly the incident that is of question right now. So this is essentially the incident that is in question right now. It's the setup, the spike. Well, that's not it. Hold on, it's coming up here. That's where we at. But
right
again,
here.
This is that quote unquote highlight reel that someone has taken of all of these, defensive plays. Yeah, right. But again, when you've got much smaller individuals, when you got these young women playing on the squad, and also I realized and I found out that the net is actually lower in women's volleyball than it is for men's volleyball. So there's already an unfair advantage for the transgender athlete who, as you said, has this incredible vertical leap, who can get way above and way on top of this net and make these devastating shots. I want to make sure that we see this so we can have some conversation about it. But
yeah, and I think this needs to be something. This guy's obviously going to have to be taken up with high school athletics, right? Because this is where we're getting it from. It was in college before. Now it's getting to high school athletics. They need to be able to do something like now and catch this before it gets out of hand, before we have no control. Before we have no control over. So, and again, man, I don't have the answers. I thought about me. I mean, we've had discussions on this. I don't even think we know the answer collectively, but I do believe they have to create some type of lane for them to participate in sports outside of them just going to play in females. And I believe probably the same thing, a female going to a male sport. It may be she might have some type of advantage at that point. I believe that there has to be something there that they're going to have to create a lane for. And I know they don't want to isolate them. They don't want to isolate transgender. I don't want to say them. They don't want to isolate, because we're all humans. They don't want to isolate them and put them in their own lane. But you have to categorize them in somewhere, for them to participate, so they don't have the unfair advantage physically where these situations happens. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, this has just happened in volleyball. Imagine if it's some other sport, like some other sport that you start having a little bit more. Let's talk about field hockey, where you can play a little bit more physical, where you can dip your shoulder, where you can hit somebody. What about soccer? What if someone kicks a young lady super hard or runs over a young lady super hard? I think it's just unfair in two advantages. One, the transgender physical attributes may be a little bit more than the females, more developed, developed more as a male, muscle structure and muscle. I don't want to say that I'm not a health person, but just the way they're overall built. And then also at this point, it's unfair to young ladies, because now that's taking away a spot for a young lady that should be playing that sport, developing and being able to play the sport she loves. Remember, there's only so many roster spots open. That's transgender taking one from another young lady, and playing the sport she loves. So it's a big dynamic, man, and it's crazy. I don't know where the answer is. Yeah. I don't know where that falls. I'd
be interested in hearing what the community has to say about this again, because we've talked about this, and I want to make sure that we're not harping or we're not barking up the wrong tree here. I want to see if other folks are as into this discussion as we are, right? Just want to make sure that something happens to bring some clarity to this, because again, when you've got just a mismatch of capabilities, when you got a mismatch of abilities playing on the same squad, and again, now we're starting to get injuries out here. I mean, I'd be curious to know, folks that are listening and watching, do you think that something should be done about this, or should, I'll be the doubting Thomas, right? Do you think we should be not worrying about this? Do you think we should be separating these teams, right? Having an individual league for folks who identify as trans? Should we worry about this every 4 years or every 2 years when the Olympics comes? Because that's when this is going to start really coming into question,
Oh
right?
yeah,
That's
I
when we
think
really
so.
gonna have
Now,
to wait.
but we got to worry about not only as we're going into the Olympics, but we have to worry about other opponents on other countries. Do they feel the same way? Should they be able to have their transgender athletes or develop transgender athletes to come compete against the United States?
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, we were complaining about steroids in the Olympics, like Russian women were on steroids when they're lifting all those weights and doing all those things. If transgenders be able to come and identify, I'll be perfectly honest. Women weightlifting will be obsolete as far as a woman born as a woman, and not transgender. The weightlifting competition will be obsolete because that will be taken over by transgenders. I believe women's wrestling will be taken over by transgenders. I believe several other sports in the Olympics will be taken over by transgenders, and women that were naturally born as women will kind of surely be gone out. That's my opinion. If this is something that kind of takes over, and we're able to have transgenders compete against other women that way, it's just a physical makeup. I think they will be more willing to develop faster and get to that level. So, I mean, man, I don't know where we stand. I don't know how this all is going to work. I don't know how they're going to kind of sit down as a committee and discuss this. But I think if this happens, best believe we're going to have a transgender woman in the WNBA sooner than later.
Yeah,
it'll be in the WNBA. So now we're going to have a bunch of used to be men in the NBA. In the WNBA,
yeah,
which
and
is
listen,
going
man, and I'm a preface this to you, right? I mean, this is a sensitive topic. This is an awkward conversation, and we don't. Yeah, we want to dance around, and yeah, we want to be politically correct, but this is very polarizing. And I got a couple of comments here from folks that are saying, I mean, they are stating their belief as well. So I allow these comments to come through. But this is again one of those awkward conversations that needs to happen, and someone in the governing boards of all of these schools and institutions and sports associations needs to have this conversation. And look, we don't know what the right word is to say, but we just want to bring the visibility that something's got to happen, or else more kids are going to get hurt. This girl hasn't played in a couple of weeks because she's still suffering from concussion protocol issues. We got to do something.
And let's be honest, what I'm stating are my opinions only. They're my opinions. I'm not trying to speak for James or even Team Snow Sleep as a whole. I'm speaking it from me personally. These are my opinions and how I feel about the situation. So let's get that cleared away right at the bat. Again, I don't know what lane transgenders belong in when it comes to athletics, but I do believe it's wrong for a transgender male to play in a female sport. I 100% think that's wrong because they have an unfair advantage. Now, everyone can ostracize me. They can critique. They can say whatever they want about me. I can care less. That's my belief in it. I think that's wrong because I know if that was my daughter, let's say it was a regular volleyball game and a spike happened that way, and a young lady did that. A young lady did it to another lady.
Yeah.
I don't think I was like, oh wow, she's just a dominant athlete. She did it. Wow, that's the way we go. But just because of the optics and the things that she is transgender, I'm focusing on it now. I'm focusing on that. Well, right. That's a transgender that's used to be a male hitting that ball so hard it hurt.
That's a man that is just hit my girl. And me, look, I'm gonna run out on the court, right? I'm not supposed to, but I'm gonna run out on the field or something.
I have a different perspective if it's a former male now transgender doing that to young ladies, and I don't know what that makes me. That makes me, I don't know, that makes me whatever. But I feel that way. I really truly feel that way. I don't know if that makes me homophobic or transgender phobic. I don't know what it makes me, but I do truly feel that is unfair. That's totally unfair. And I don't know where it belongs, man. And I'm willing to educate myself. I am, but this is new grounds for everybody, I believe.
It is.
Right. I just really don't, I don't understand how they let this, why are they not already getting ahead of the 8 ball and saying, hey, we got to create a different lane? If we want them just to continue to compete, do things, we have to put them in a different lane so they can't compete. So, I mean, I'm sorry if I offended anybody. I really am. I don't mean to. I'm just
No, you
speaking
know
my
what? I
truth.
would even caution you on that, man. No need in apologizing, because again, we are opening up the platform. This is what we do. Come on now. This is why we are who we are, and this is why we are above the noise, because we're having
Yes.
these conversations. And look, I'm letting the comments come in of folks saying exactly how they feel as well. Just
Yeah.
like Kevin said, he agrees with the physical advantage, but not sure how to properly handle the situation. But someone needs to. Right. We're setting the table. We're opening the door to have the conversation. and someone in sociology, psychology, wherever, someone at the Olympic Committee, at the IOC, needs to figure this out in a couple of months, because we're gonna
Yeah.
have folks from all over the planet going to wherever location. I think they come into LA, right, for the Olympics. And I can guarantee you we have some transgender athletes who are going to want to play, who are going to want to go to a particular bathroom, who are going to want to go to, right, who are going to want to do certain things, right? And that has to be talked about before everyone lands at that location, and then you start making adjustments. So let's just have that conversation.
I 100% agree with you. I think those comments need to be had. I think those discussions need to be talked about. And I'm taking it a step further, not just the Olympic Committee. It needs to be talked to about the high school athletics, collegiate athletics, and even at the professional athletics now.
Yeah, and I only say the Olympics because so many people look at that, right? I mean, that's the big shiny object.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's going to be a big global scale that now they have to address this issue. But I'm kind of, I would love to if someone is in athletic director or something like that, if they were ever on, or they could talk to us. Like, how is this going to be handled from now on? Like, how is this going to be handled at your school? Is it a school by school basis that people handle? Like, hey, you can compete, or no, you can't compete. Is this a district rule? Is this a state rule? Someone is going to have to start discussing this and figuring this out.
Someone besides us, right?
Yeah, because
somebody besides us.
Yeah, this is going to continue to be an issue. I mean, we already saw what happened to the swimmer that we covered. He got all the bad pub.
Yeah.
He got my heart goes out to him because he has to endure all this. But also, he set himself up, or set herself up, to be able to compete in that ring, and people going to criticize it. I would, if that transgender was going against my daughter, I would be the one that would be criticizing.
Yes.
I would be the one saying that's unfair. I would be the one screaming at the top of my lungs saying, hey, you're taking advantage of the sport because you made a life-changing decision. This is supposed to be for young ladies competing. Why aren't you competing with the males?
Yeah. You can still swim. You can still compete, but we've got to figure out the right place for you to compete. And we'll move to the next one. But I like what Kevin said here as well. I think it's a classic example of being reactionary instead of dealing with it ahead of the situation happens. Committees are letting situations like this occur and then figuring out. That's just not the way to handle sensitive issues like this. Wait until the 11th hour and seeing what happens, right? We can't just let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, and they haven't set a protocol standard, right? There is no protocol standard right now. So if there's not a protocol standard, we have no guidelines to go by. So right now it's the wild, wild west, right? If you identify, you can go play. I mean, we already got it. If you can identify, you can go to that restroom, right? It's illegal if you ostracize them out of that way from if you identify with another sex or not.
Yeah.
Man, I'm all about equality, but I'm also all about fairness as well. It has to be fair, man.
Yeah,
it has to be fair, especially when we're in a competitive environment, right?
Yeah.
If we don't want people to use drugs, we don't want people to use enhancing performance drugs. We don't want people to do all these things that can give them unfair advantage. What makes you think you could just change your biological decision and you're not going to have an unfair advantage? You are to compete. So I believe in fairness. So someone needs to create a lane for them to be able to continue to compete.
There it is. There it is. Hey, and we'll move to the next one, but my man Chief is coming with the mic drop. It is like someone being bad at men's sports, so they just transition to women's and dominate and take away job opportunities from real women.
Okay. I like that statement, except for the part they're bad at men's sports. They could be good at men's sports and do the same thing. So I don't want to say that. I just say someone that prefers to change over. But I mean, I agree where he's going with it. I understand where he's definitely going with that for them to do that. It's just unfair. And I'm just making it politically correct, my man. I ain't trying to change your opinion. I just want to make it politically correct for the show to make sure we all good.
Oh my goodness! See, I try to give you some props, man, but they Montel coming at you.
I know. I ain't stepping on this idea.
Just gonna step on the man's toes like that. My man.
I agree to the point. I agree, except for the bad. You don't have to say bad, bro. You can just say a person that played basketball is over. Just that descriptive adjective needed just to be removed. That's all, man. But I'm feeling it. Thank you for the comment. I really do.
Crazy.
I really
You're crazy. Let's go. We talked last week about birthday celebrations. I don't even want to know if it's celebration. Brittany Griner, locked up, unfortunately still in the Russian prison, recently had her appeal, right, on her drug case, or on her possession case of hashish oil. The appeal did not go in her favor. She has been officially sentenced to 9 years. And, Montel and I were talking about this just before we went live and said, I'm normally half empty, glass half full kind of person. And now I think it's to the point where, man, Brittany really not getting out. Right. I mean, so many things, so many avenues, attempts have tried to happen to get this woman rightfully out of this penitentiary, out of this jail, and they've all failed. I don't want to get political, but I do wonder if we as a government have failed in properly addressing the issue. Right, I don't believe that she has had proper representation, from the State Department for this particular case, because there has been issues of missing phone calls, missing meetings, just not being on their 100% P's and Q's on this particular thing. And that just does not bode well, especially when you are in the middle of a country who's in the middle of a war, who we are already having tensions with. And now you got someone in there who's a high value, high celebrity type of person, and you got him, right? It may be small, it may be minuscule, in our eyes, but you know what? They're saying, we got him. We're gonna make a example, unfortunately, out of Brittany Griner. And yeah, latest appeal doesn't look like she's gonna get out. So I mean, it's just sad. This is really sad.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's been an epic fail for government wise,
but I think officially also a prisoner of war. Tony Davis, come on, say that. Wow.
Yeah, but I believe that not only it's been a failure for our government, it's been a failure for private practices, private industry as well. And I'm talking mainly about the NBA, WNBA brand. Okay. And I say it's a failure on their part because we all know, regardless of where you have money speaks volumes, right? It speaks volumes. If all American players said we are not going to Russia anymore, we're not going to play money, and we're not going to make sure our dollars are not going to Russia anymore. And as the NBA, we don't want our games to be televised over there or sell merchandise over there anymore until you let her free. I think we would see a lot more movement in that case. Private industries, in her case, if the government's fell, I don't see why her multi-billion-dollar entity that's above the NBA is not making a step forward, except for just acknowledging that she's in there and we hope you get free.
So you want to see more than just the individuals. You want to see more than just the Steph Curry, more than just.
I want to see the NBA.
You want to see Adam Silver come out there as an organization. Okay, I hear you. I just wanted to make that clear. I didn't want to assume.
Why is Adam Silverman and the 32 owners of NBA teams? I believe it's 32. 32 owners of NBA teams ain't put some money up and say get her out. We need to get her out.
Okay.
We need it because I've always said
because and the NBA voice carries a lot more weight. It just does than even the WNBA, than a lot of other leagues as well. It really does.
It covers. I think it covers more weight internationally than the NFL.
Yeah,
it covers more weight because the NBA is global.
Yeah.
If NBA stepped up and said, if you don't let her free, we're discontinuing our product, our entertainment product in your country until you let her go, because we know this is BS. I guarantee you there will be some movement and some traction on that, because there's a lot of fans of the NBA over in Russia. True. Russian players like to come over here and play in the NBA. Until that happens, they're not allowed to come play in the NBA. Sorry, you want to keep ours in the industry? We're going to keep you out of what we're developing over here for them to make millions of dollars and play in the NBA. So if You can go eye for eye, tit for tat in order to get her away. But the NBA as a governing body hasn't did anything for Brittany Griner except acknowledge that she's over there.
Man, that's true. That's
Where the
facts
frick
right
is the
there.
money?
That's facts right there, boy.
Where's the money at?
Man.
You might be $1 trillion business a year. You mean to tell me them 32 owners can't put up some money to get out? If they each put $1 million up, you mean to tell me if $32 million worth of lawyers and fees or whatever to go over and get her out won't get her out? I guarantee you it will.
Man.
They would. You can pay less for a prisoner than $32 million. If they all put $32 million up, she's out, guaranteed.
Man, okay. See, Jim gonna go there, right? And so Trump got LiAngelo Ball out of China in days.
Yes.
Black women always being treated as second class pains me. Wow.
And I don't know. It's Jimsley. It's not just a black woman. It's a black lesbian woman.
Speak so on they really that, have right? A problem. Right? Because again, folks, y'all. I mean,
her sexuality,
buckle in, folks. This is where we go, right? So
yeah, you can say what you
matters.
Want.
That matters.
Her sexuality matters.
Yeah.
Her sexuality. From what I understand, I've never been to Russia, but I heard that's a shun on behavior. So if that's the fact, she's a black lesbian woman over there that got caught with cannabis oil, which should be an infraction of anything.
Anything.
And the fact of the matter, fact of the matter that, our government has failed us, but I don't even know if that's our government's place to try to free anybody over there or try to get involved unless it's another political figure. I'm saying, how come private industry hasn't gotten involved? The company that she works for, the company that she's made millions of dollars for, the company that she represents all the time has not stepped up to say, hey, you know what? She is a strong, imposing figure. Why don't we all put to collectively half of that? Let's all put $500,000. $16 million will get her out of jail. I guarantee you. Somebody has some influence for $16 million to get her out.
Some of them fools got $60 million in their locker when they go to work out. Listen, I mean, that's money that's readily liquid, that's readily available.
Right? Readily, especially out of those 32 owners.
Yeah.
$16 million is readily available. You give $16 million to a lawyer over in Russia and says, I need you to do anything you need to do to get her out. Use your political influences or whatever you have to do to get him out. Putin himself would let her out for $16 million. Ain't nothing on his thing. So where is the NBA? And I'm a big fan of the NBA. They're usually ahead of the ball game. Yeah. They usually do things very progressive. The real reason always. But if we're gonna speak truth, let's speak truth.
Mm-hmm.
They have done nothing, and I guarantee you, James, $16 million. Brittany Griner has brought $16 million into that company. If not more, by her presence, by playing for the Phoenix team.
In jersey sales, come on, yeah. She did that in her sleep, right?
Buying hot dogs, buying drinks. Yeah. People come to the stadium to see her play. Now imagine if they got her off of that $16 million. Guess how many people are going to be at that opening game when she plays again when she comes home to the
listen, me and you flying there wherever it is. We're going to be there, right? I mean,
so you mean to tell me why? Now listen to me. Yeah. Why wouldn't an industry like that go ahead and risk spending $16 million to get her out? Why haven't all those brilliant minds that work in their lawyer teams and their legal teams and owners haven't said, you know what? Let's put some money where our mouth. Let's just go ahead and get her out. Let's figure it out. What's the number to get her ass out?
What's the number?
There is a number. There's a number to get her out. This ain't just legal. We already know there's a number to get her out. There's a high power lawyer, high power influences over in Soviet Union, wherever it is in the world, that you can convince to let her free. Where's the private industry? I'm waiting for the comments. Drop the mic. Where's the? Tell me where it is.
We got a couple of comments that speak in truth too, and we've had this discussion. We've talked about, look, if this was Mr. James over there, there'd have been SWAT teams and Team SEAL 3, 4, 5, and 6 over there to get him out in a half hour. So there's that. Interesting comment here from Tony about the Black Lives Matter movement to be over there, or to again stir up some more conversation. I'm tired of wearing T-shirts. I'm tired of wearing posting hashtags. I'm tired of talking. You're right. These individuals, these organizations, these people in power, political influence, celebrity, whatever the case may be, they're the ones who really change this dynamic, and are the ones who should be moving the needle to get these people, to get Brittany specifically out of where she is right now.
In this case of matter, Tony, I'm going to answer. BLM has been just as effective as a BLT sandwich in this case. Non-relevant.
Mm.
They haven't did anything. Their voices been non-relevant to put political pressure on anybody. That's why I'm saying it here. Why has there not been pressure on the private industry to help get her out? The industry that she represents. The 32 owners that own NBA teams own WNBA teams. How come they haven't collectively said, you know what? We need to go ahead and put $500,000 a piece in here to somebody to go over there and get her out. Shit, I just don't understand.
Yeah, all my folks watching on Twitter right now, all y'all Twitter folks, everyone, y'all know how to grab a clip off of YouTube and tweet that out. I know I got some folks who are really engaged on Twitter. We need to start blowing this up. This segment, this right here, shoot that out to your Foxes, your CBC, who has CBSs, your NBCs, your ESPNs, your ABC News. Shout, Fox News if you have to, whatever. But grab a clip and tweet that out to those folks, because this conversation right here will be the one that actually gets an answer, right? As opposed to always pushing it underneath the carpet.
Shout out to Jemele Hill. I hope she gets a hold of this clip, man, because I love Jemele Hill. She's a bomb. I would think, man, I just don't understand it, man. I really don't, because people get out for less. You can have less money than $16 million to get out, and you can't tell me that can't be possible over there. Like, what is the holdup? And most people say, oh, you don't know the political climate, or you don't know what's going on in their legal system. I don't give a damn what's going on in the legal system. $16 million will change a lot of people's opinion. So why hasn't that happened? That's my problem. I really, that's my problem. I don't get it. And maybe they don't like Brittney Griner. Maybe they don't like what she stands for. Maybe they don't like her sexuality. Maybe they don't like the color of her skin. But if she represents your brand and she's been a commodity to your organization, that's peanuts, and that's just small peanuts to drop to get her back over here. And like I said, once she did get free and she came over here, James, she could do a fair word to her. She gonna sell out every stadium she go play.
Yeah,
because everybody wants to welcome her home. That's marketing 101, man. I really don't get it. I don't get it. And just like you, when we saw the appeal, we're like, bro, the lights turned off. She's not getting out.
Yeah, unless
somebody really steps up.
Yeah, this is almost, this is one of those things where you shot all your shots, and this appeal kind of was one of those last things. Obviously, they're going to continue trying. No, they're not giving up hope, but just to hear about her, we always talk about mental state. To hear about that, right, and then the fact that she's getting to that point where she's only 23 hours locked up, 1 hour outside, actually getting physical activity. So she's deteriorating from that perspective. She's in a cell with two other people. Like, Brittney's 6'8". She's not
a small woman at all.
She doesn't fit in a cell, right? No. Right. So you just understand and that type of thing as well. You just wonder how she's doing inside as well.
Regardless of all that stuff. We got to be honest, James. We can, when you lose hope, that was probably one of her hope. That was her hope. This appeal would work, even though I know her lawyers told her don't expect anything. When you lose hope, bro, when you lose hope and that pain becomes unbearable or more than life, that's how people usually commit suicide, right?
Yeah.
When that pain becomes more harsh than life, that's when these things happen. I hope she doesn't do that. I hope she's more strong-willed. But when people lose hope, man, it's hard, because when you lose hope, you lose everything. Everything goes out the window at that point. And I really hope, people step up and somehow get her out, or at least give her some promise that she's going to be able to come home soon. So I think that mental health is in, and I can only imagine, you're saying just the mental health part, that that she's not coming home. She's in a foreign country, man.
Yeah.
She doesn't have I don't know if she has what commonality she has with them. And I also read that she's in a holding facilities.
Yeah.
Right now, she's up to be transferred to a prison, which is a much worse or much more violent than where she's at now. Her being an American in a foreign jail is already bad. Her being a large Black woman in a foreign jail is really, really bad.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's a celebrity is really, really, really bad, because now people will try to harm her, just like in any other environment like that, man. So I just don't understand. Like I said,
it's tough, right?
You said our political government has failed us. I'm saying so has private industry, and let's not let them off the hook either.
Yeah, I want to bring up a couple of comments and then we'll move on to the next one. So I want to give recognition, to someone here on Facebook who says, "Yeah, we're wrong. You guys, she done wrong, and I'm sorry. Yeah, she did do wrong, but I think what we're saying is that there still hasn't been enough due diligence. So all of my financial tech folks that are listening and watching understand the terms due
Hey,
diligence.
hey,
But,
James, one second. That person that made that comment, do
yeah,
you feel you should get 9 years for holding cannabis oil? Like I agree, if you break a crime in another country, yeah, you should abide by their laws.
yeah,
But we also know there's exceptions to the rule, right? There's exceptions to the rule in every country, in every law. This person had less than, I think, 2 ounces of cannabis oil. Granted, it's illegal. She's an athlete. She's leaving your country. You're charging her with illegally smuggling cannabis oil. You're gonna give her 9 years, man. That does not fit, especially with her status as a star, or her social status.
yeah.
You gotta give some wiggle room to let her out. And I understand a crime is a crime, but ask yourself, if that was you, would you be saying the same exact thing? And I honestly believe you would be like, somebody needs to come get me out. All I had was some oil.
You know, the crime, the time don't fit the crime there. Man, shouts
Yeah,
out. We,
yeah.
we got Kier in the building. Man, I know he probably at the gym. He work out more than I do. Sitting underneath the squat rack. Good to see you, man. He says, I don't believe this country is doing whatever they can to get her released. I know Russia is asking for a lot, but isn't any American worth that? Good point, man. Good point. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
Yep.
Lot of questions, and this is good though. That a lot of folks are concerned about this. There's
Shout out
value in
Kier.
us talking about it. There's value in us
Yeah.
talking about. But again, I really challenge and charge folks to, if you feel as strongly as we do, and what it seems like with all these comments, share this with folks. Grab
Yeah.
this clip and share this with these news agencies that you listen to, and say, why aren't we doing something more to, besides just talking about it? Why are we talking so much about Kanye and Adidas, as
Yeah.
opposed as opposed to the wrongfully accused and the wrongfully imprisoned?
Why don't Kanye do a concert and raise some money for?
Kanye don't have no more money, brother. Kanye,
Why don't him Drake do a concert and raise some money for Brittany Griner, and see if they get over there instead of the thing he did for Larry Hoover. So,
you know what I'm saying?
yes, she should get less, but it's something else is with what he said. Something else is with this. I mean, maybe so.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know, man. But I do believe, man. Like I said, I think that if private industry were to get involved and NBA was whatever to exercise their muscle a little bit, I think this would be a different scenario. And we've already said, like we said, that was LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry that was over there, that was locked up over this. They would have been out in minutes.
Hey, I got a squad too. Hey, my squad has said this. Don't let me get locked up. I give him the hootie hoo.
Oh, yeah.
I give him the hootie hoo, and I have my folks out there in a minute to come. Appreciate you, brother. Good looking out, man. I'll try to stay.
Hey. On the opposite, if I was locked up, they just leave my ass in there.
I'd be like, man, Montel gone. Man, he gone. He gone.
Montel got to do the whole 9, baby.
Man, he gone, man.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But man, no, shout out to Brittany, man. Like I said, I hope her spirits is up, man. This is a really unfortunate situation for an African American young lady to go, for anybody to go through. But for her stature, man, and what she's done so much to the basketball and the game, this is how you guys pay me back, by not helping. Just putting a name on a damn T-shirt don't mean nothing no more, man. It really doesn't.
Nope.
Action speaks, and I really do believe those 32 owners just got collective and said, look, let's put up some money to get around. There's a price. What's the price? And let's figure it out. Now, if it's $100 million, that's maybe a different story. But I don't think it costs that much to get a prisoner for her crime of that stature to get out. I think you just got to go over there and do your thing and figure it out. So
yeah, it is.
I appreciate that, Kier.
Kier's coming for you. Kier's coming for you. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move on. Keep the conversation going, though, folks, and the after conversations and in your tweets and in your comments on social media. Let's talk about this football players. I know you're really involved in this because, again, you coach, you consult, you've got your kids that play and coach as well, and we've talked about this as well. Playing surfaces, right?
Mhm.
Artificial turf versus grass. we're seeing a lot of athletes that are getting hurt. Knee injuries, leg injuries, torn this, torn that. And listen, when you got Pete Carroll up here talking about some of his star receivers, and you got some of the cornerbacks off of the Chargers, a lot of players that are hurting themselves by trying to acclimate themselves to this artificial turf. What are we gonna do about this? I mean, should we pull up all of this fake grass and put some real grass down there? What should we do? What's the conversation you think?
It's a debate, man. It's a debate that's going to keep going on because there's a good and bad about turf. Obviously, in climate weather games where the climate is bad, where it rains really hard a lot, where it snows, those types of things, that turf is a great surface because it doesn't rip up, it doesn't tear up. You can still play on a beautiful colored grass, and not to mention you're faster on turf than you are grass. Everybody wants the game to be fast. Everybody wants to be faster because the faster things are, the more they work, especially as you get higher in levels. So those are some of the plus things that go on. Now, the bad thing that goes on with turf is, like you said, injuries, because it doesn't give like grass. You plant your foot in grass, 9 times out of 10 it's going to come up, right? So it gives, so it doesn't tear those muscles like it is, or tear your muscles or tear your tendons, or you have a lot of pulls or anything like that. So it's a catch-22, and Pete Carroll, I love him. I think he's right in certain things. I think the data speaks by him saying there's a lot of injuries, but also, why are you just saying that now? What happens to your player? You're not saying that what happens to somebody else. And I'm being real. They're not saying that what happens to someone else. They do they wear the correct? Yeah, no shoot, yeah. But shoes aren't. I don't think it's the issue. I think just the give of turf is the problem. It doesn't give. And when you have bad turf, it's even worse because you got holes in the carpet. You trip. You can fall. Things get caught up. But we already talked about owners. Owners are cheap, right? You don't want to pay for that maintenance. Of grass.
Turf is big business, grass, like you were saying. Turf is big business.
Yeah. It's a big business. Yeah. Because you got to understand, I buy turf for $1 million. It lasts me for at least 15 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
With minor upkeep. You get grass, man, you're gonna spend well over $1 million to kind of upkeep that, especially if you want to have it nice.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it nice, cut, seeded, all those things, knowing that soccer, football, or then we're gonna tear that field up. Then you got to pull that on up and do some more. So, I think I met the groundskeeper for the Padres one time, and he was telling me that because they have grass in their outfield. He told me it cost them anywhere up to $2 million just to maintain that grass. They don't even tear it up like football does.
Wow, yeah.
Because he said cutting it, grass, watering it, making everything. So it's a big major upkeep, especially at the professional level, to do that. That's why it's there. Me personally, I think they need to come up with something that's a mixture of good turf that gives a little bit, because we have the science now to kind of prove what can help and what doesn't help. But what's going to happen is it's going to slow the game a little bit down. It will, because if it's a loose turf, you can't run as fast. It doesn't do anything. So, man, it's going to be an awkward debate. I don't like the injuries because they're so catastrophic, right? Like you tear your knee.
Yeah.
You tear your shoulder.
It's folks like are literally having season-ending, career-ending injuries.
Yeah.
And it's being blamed on the turf in and of itself. So, man.
But you got to think, though, if owners want to protect their investments, they got to make the change. They're the ones that own. They're the ones that provide the turf. If they want to protect their investments, they're going to make a change. But let's keep it real. Since we're Team No Sleep, I'm going to keep it real.
Go ahead.
They can care less about those investments.
Oh my goodness!
Because you know who's getting injured? Usually, typically not the face of the franchise. The Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's aren't going to get injured because they don't run like that. Who's getting injured like that are your thoroughbreds. A lot of African American, a lot of Polynesian young brothers are the ones that are getting hurt. So what we're replaceable, right? Running backs only career life span is 5 years.
So hold on. There'll
be another one of those.
Wow. Huh? Okay. So if Tom Brady fell down and tripped over his own 2 feet on a artificial grass field in Seattle, you think Todd Bowlen, you think the NFL will call an emergency meeting and say we need to change this right now because it's now affecting our franchise names,
I
as
think
as opposed to someone like DK Metcalf in Seattle, or someone I'm trying to think of someone else who's currently injured right now. Odell
Hopkins
Beckham.
just came off an injury and suspension. We
Yeah.
can name a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if enough franchise players, the ones that the money draws, if they got hurt,
wow,
absolutely they're gonna look into it.
Okay.
If Tom Brady just did it once, and we're just speaking Tom Brady
he
specific,
can't run
he's on his
anyway,
way out.
so
right?
I'm not. I don't know why I mentioned him. He can't run.
No, he's on his way out. But I'm saying if you got someone like what's the boy name from Cincinnati? I mean from Cincinnati. Forgot Barrow, Herbert.
Yeah.
These upcoming of Josh Allen. Josh Allen was a terrorist knee because
Josh
of the
Allen
turf.
is the new poster boy. Yeah, I mean
they would be like,
man.
You know what?
He's a bad man.
We might need to start. We need to start reading them, and if they get a series of, we might not have to start looking at this to see what we can figure out because this turf is causing too much injuries to the front face of our franchise. But as long as the guys they think they're replaceable,
wow,
we didn't care less. The game is faster. There's more points being scored. The rules are being changed. We could care less. If there's going to be one to get hurt, oh well, he's a casualty of war per se. What they say. We'll keep it moving.
All right. So will this become? So man, we got a ton of comments too, and I see them, folks. But the discussion here is just valuable. I want to keep asking these questions. So will this probably, and this is a Doubting Thomas question as well, will this probably become an end of career conversation like head injuries and CTE? Right. I hurt myself playing on an artificial turf field, and it caused me to have these long-term leg, foot injuries, or whatever the case may be. Do you think that this is going to be another conversation like that, where retiring athletes, or athletes who have to retire before their time, right? Before 10, 15, 20 years, or whatever the case may be, that they have to retire because they took this bad spill on this artificial grass, and they come back and say, I need an investigation. I need to go to Congress. Right? Do you think this is going to turn into something like that, or are we just going to have to deal with this?
There's two folds to that. So one, when you become in the rookie symposium, the NFL tells you to get insurance, secondary insurance on these things. So that's the one caveat. So if you get a career injury, knee, thumb, toe injury, you're supposed to take insurance out on yourself to be able to set you up for the rest of your life. That's number one. Number two, it won't become a conversation until the players union makes it a conversation. Owners are not going to say anything about it. They're not. It's money out of their pocket. Owners don't want to even build their own stadiums. Remember how the San Diego Chargers left because we were telling them they need to build their own stadium and they didn't want to. So they're definitely not going to fork out no money to rechange all the turf just because there's a few injuries they haven't did it this year. Now, if the players union starts to really get involved and it says, hey, we're losing too many players to the kind of turf you guys are putting in, you guys need to do something about it, then I think you'll get some traction. But also, when you give, when you want something, you got to give something. So now there's going to be a tug and pull with the players union on getting that swapped out. But I'll be honest with you, James, I don't think anything's going to change. Like I said, the people that are getting hurt and doing these things, they feel that they're irreplaceable. They're replaceable. They are. It's got to be a player that's irreplaceable. And I mean, it has to happen more than just one irreplaceable player. It has to have several irreplaceable players that draw a lot of money in before them to look at.
That's terrible. Right, that's bad, man. That just doesn't sound right coming out of your mouth. But you know what? It's true. I know it's true. But again, it just doesn't sound right as a moral, ethical stance for an organization who is paying these athletes millions of dollars to go out and entertain. Right, they're entertainers, but there's so much liquidity, and we talk about cash in coffers. To again, someone even said something about player safety should be. Yeah, Kier was saying it should be about player safety as opposed to anything else. Let's worry about.
But we know that's reverse. We know that. Tool situation, we could just speak on the tools. It's reverse. Money is what's in front. Player safety is second. And we're as fans are just catching up to that, right? We're just catching up to that now.
Yeah.
And we're catching to that now. We know the NFL has always been hey, money first, player safety second. We can care less. Who cares who gets hurt? We can replace them.
And so this is interesting. This interesting point. Yeah, this is an interesting point too, right? Kevin was saying, listen, it's presentation, right? And you don't want to be out there playing on a wholly messed up field like Chicago, But man, but again, that's football, right? When you're out there in the snow and you got divots in the ground. But I can, I don't know, I see it both ways. And I saw Mr. Jim Fuse in the building. Appreciate you for coming as well. Saw JP in the room as well. And Jim was talking about, he's played on both types of fields, right? And understands the impact, right, that it has on the body. So, man, this is a conversation again that
it's like you said, James. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, like you said, the players' union's gonna have to step up in order to get
somebody's
some
got
change.
to step up. Man. Somebody's got to say something.
It's not going to be the owners. It's not. I mean, if it was up to them, we'd probably plan on cement with spikes on the uniforms in order to make sure they get the most maximum of fans and the violence and all that stuff. Now they take small steps to protect players. Protocol, concussion protocol, which they haven't gotten that right yet. They're doing a lot of small things to kind of make players safe or feel safe, but the bottom line is a bottom dollar. Look, I don't have to spend no money on maintenance. Now everything's been in indoor stadiums, so there's no water. It ain't no water unless somebody does upkeep, and you have all the stuff for that. So it's just a lot going into it, man. Like I said, until the players step up or it's catastrophic injuries to the big time moneymakers in the league, it stays the same, brother. It keeps going. Regardless if Pete Carroll's complaining about it or not, it doesn't matter.
Is this enough? I'm gonna bring this person. I don't know if this is the same person on Facebook. Come on over to YouTube so we can see your name. Come on, YouTube is where the cool kids hang out. On Facebook, y'all know how I feel about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. I may not. Hold on, I'm gonna say this.
Don't be saying nothing bad, man.
Because Facebook is terrible, man. I don't think we gonna broadcast on Facebook anymore. I'll put the event out there, but Facebook is just brutal.
Man, leave Mark Zuckerberg them boys alone, man.
He trifling, and the experience that the community gets is much more robust on YouTube. So I'm considering that, but
Mark, I want to keep us on there, man. I don't keep getting fans, brother. Don't I think James got a little bit of hater in that drink.
I got a little hateration. I'm mad at him. I'm mad at him. So let me bring this up. That's why someone here says they don't watch football, throwing people around all over their heads. That reminds me of a lot of times where we as fans have said, I'm not watching football anymore, right? The whole Kaepernick, the whole kneeling, right? There were a lot of incidents, the Ray Rice situation, where a lot of fans have said, I'm done with this sport. Is this something that you think? Do you think this is to that level where folks are going to say, I'm not watching this anymore? I'm not even going to watch Rihanna during the Super Bowl, right? Is this to that level?
No. People are going to watch football regardless, and I've learned that over my time, and I'm guilty of it as well. I'm saying I'm going to watch it, and I still catch glimpses of it, or I'll sit down to watch a game when it's on. Now, I'm not as big as a fan as I used to be.
Yeah,
we like watch it emphatically on Sundays. Now Sundays I'll get up and go run my errands and do what I got to do. But I do believe that people are going to watch professional football regardless, man. It's $1 billion fan business that we watching on TV and doing that. It's a multi-billion-dollar business on fantasy.
Yeah,
like this.
That's true.
It's big. It's bigger than we can even imagine. Football
it's on the ballot in a lot of locations. Fantasy is on the ballot, right? That's true.
So things aren't going to stop, man. You got. We're talking about billions of dollars flowing in based on watching the game and watching football. Now, does it need to change? Yeah. From us as a humanity and humans and how we see things, how we know things are supposed to work in the real world, or from an entertainment standpoint, hell no, they're not going to change anything. I want the game as fast as I can. I'm going to have them on turf. I pay these guys millions of dollars to do this to their body, so go ahead and go do it.
Go do it.
I'm speaking it from the owner standpoint. That's the reality of it. So, I mean, Pete Carroll can cry wolf and say we need to change turf. Yeah, we do. But is it going to happen? No. Pete, are you going to put up your money to get it fixed? No. Yeah. So Pete
need to start winning games. Pete just need to start winning games and stop talking.
Yeah. Well, hey, they number 8. Well, you can't say that. They got a better record than the Steelers right now, so you can't say too much.
Why? Show is over, folks. Okay, show's over. Right? See that, Kier, go get him. All right. You know what? You got me all thrown for a loop now. You didn't. I was supposed to be. I told you I was supposed to be at that game last week when they played the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been terrible towed out too. I'd have had all my black and yellow on, and I would have been embarrassed. But
Yes. Yeah.
it was a good game. But no, don't talk about my Steelers. I'm right. We're gonna do this call to action.
I'm just saying you can't comment on another team, but your team ain't. They're
Right.
not looking too high right now. And I'm gonna say, and since last year, I like the Steelers. I like what they're all about, but they're just not very good right now. But back to our subject though with the turf, man. It's basically what you call it, a clickbait or a soundbite, but nothing's gonna change. It's not gonna change. Look at you, Kerry, man. I'm just speaking truth, man. They ain't very good this year, bro.
Hey,
how you gonna wait? How Kerry gonna make those comments and he was blowing up Facebook complaining about the calls and the plays?
Hey, we did see you, Kerry. You know, you were talking a lot of you were talking. Okay, you know, you kind of can't play both sides, brother. Can't play both sides.
Yeah, that brother was frustrated, boy. On set. He was frustrated as a mug during that game, but it's all good. All right. I love you, man. I love you, bro.
We got one more story. We're gonna get into it, but let's get into this right here. This call to action. Yeah, we just gonna do YouTube. I can't mess with it anymore. All right, I'm sorry. Well, you just sitting there quiet. Well, all right, so we were talking about football quite a bit. We were talking about your attention to football on Sunday, and I think that's primarily because you're a college man too now, right? You like to watch college sports.
Yeah.
This is a story that hits kind of close to home for me. We talked about this as well. Pac-12 adjustments. The fact that USC, UCLA are joining the Pac-12. Not
leaving
good. Pac-12. I'm sorry, leaving. I can't even get it right. Right. My mind is not right now. But the fact that they're leaving the Pac-12. Don't really like this from the parent of a student that goes to that school because I wanted Oregon State to play UCLA. That's not going to happen. But this whole move is just not being deemed in a positive light from the consumer. But what is this move all about? Montel, tell them. What's it all about? What's the move for the big schools in Southern California to go to the big conference?
People got to understand. I think they're going to the Big Ten or SEC. Those teams want to capture the TV market from start to finish on Saturday. So think about this. Those are West Coast teams, right? So they play on West Coast times. The South SC plays on the East Coast times. So Alabama's playing Auburn in the morning. In the afternoon, South Carolina's playing against Vanderbilt. Later on that evening, it's going to be Kentucky versus Tennessee. And on the West Coast now, it's going to be South Carolina versus USC at 7 o'clock. They will control the TV money from start to finish. That's the big thing what this is all about. And I don't know why people don't like it. I'm pretty much a big fan of it going that way because now West Coast can go over there and represent and play these big schools. And now we can have a chance to get in the playoffs and we can match our West Coast talent against all the other so-called good talent across the United States.
So you see this as something, okay, so you see this as good for the game, good for competition, right?
Absolutely.
As opposed to just following the big money.
So you mean to tell me you're not going to want to watch UCLA play against Alabama?
Oh, no. So, no, definitely. And you're right. I mean, I could be a slight hypocrite here because I'm always talking about I like the story and I like those types of things. Yes. But again, from my perspective, it's just I wanted my son's school to play my daughter's school. So it's a personal thing right there.
Yeah,
but that's true. That's true.
So people want to say, the movement is not good. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a good thing to get them, and I think it's a great thing that they get to move out into the bigger league, not the bigger league, but to a different competition league. And I think Oregon may be going as well, and that opens the door for schools like San Diego State, Boise State, and so on to move up to the Pac-12 now and showcase their talents and play at that elite level and get elite recruits. And kind of replenish what was going on there. And who's going to go to the Mountain West will be seems like North Dakota State, South Dakota State get the bump up to that level. So it's a level that everybody gets to move up and play. And UCLA and USC is going to make the real big money. The San Diego States are never going to make more money because playing in the Pac-12. And now these Division I AA schools are going to get to move into the Mountain West where they make more money. and become a more of a national name, and
Right.
more talent
Right.
to get played out there. This change, even though it's not warranted and people don't like it, I love it. I love it because now we get to see these schools compete against all these other schools nationally, and what they deem as the elite level, right? The SEC and the Big Ten level. We're going to be playing against those teams all week. I mean, every week, not only in football, but basketball, baseball, softball, track, gymnastics, swimming, and so on and so on. We get to prove ourselves against on the elite level of leagues, which right now has been the SEC and the Big 12.
So hopefully this is a call to action even for the teams to raise their game up a little bit, right? I mean, this could be
Absolutely.
next squad up, right? This could be that opportunity for the teams that are still in the conference to say they're gone, but look at me, we got some ballers out here too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's going to raise the level of play for a lot of schools and raise the level of competition for a lot of schools because they get the opportunity. They're going to be able to move on. Now it's going to be up when these teams leave, which I think it should be 4 teams leaving out of the Pac-12, if I'm not mistaken. It should be USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Utah. All 4 of them should be able to go to another bigger leagues. I think if they're going to bounce, they should go. But what that opens the door for is BYU coming into the league. We got San Diego State coming and should be able to come into the league. We got Fresno State having an opportunity. We have Boise State having an opportunity. We have Nevada. We have all these other schools that are right on the breaking cusp of the place going to get that competition to now be a part of that competition in the Pac-12. And if they win it, they have an automatic bid to hopefully get into the 8-man expansion playoffs. So why aren't we doing this? It allows them to play in bigger games and bigger competition, and also, let's be honest, it gives us a big infusion in California football because the Pac-12 has so much been deemed so weak in the last few years with the SEC being so powerful. Well, now we get to take it to them week after week to show how really good our competition is.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are that weak, it allows them to up their recruiting process. So now, if Oregon can't beat the Alabamas and all them, you know what? Oregon's going to have a chance to recruit those same kids Alabama and them do because now they're on the national TV scale and they get to play now both times. They'll be able to see their families because they get to travel there.
Yeah.
Now it opens the door to Florida's and them. They get to go travel there, and also allows them to play late into the evening where they capture all that TV money and their parents can watch them on TV every day, regardless if you're a kid from Florida going to California or a kid from California going to Florida.
So I think it's a great move. So the comment that I had on the screen from Kevin, so you think this will actually keep kids in SoCal instead of right? So now next school up, next opportunity, this will keep those local kids there as opposed to going to other conferences and going to other locations
I don't think. I think kids are going to go where they got to go. Kids are going to go where they got to go in order to play, in order to compete, whether that's stay in California or not. What I do believe now is that the kids that were getting recruited by Alabama and Oregon, Alabama and Auburn, that are California kids, they now will consider staying at UCLA or USC and playing there if they're also being recruited by them in order to up the competition. I think they now just have another opportunity to stay here because anybody goes to the SEC typically is going to the NFL, right? That's kind of the trend as of late. And if you play at the higher level ACC or Big Tens, they go into the NFL. Well, the Pac-12 has kind of isolated themselves out of that. Now they're naming back in it. You can go to Oregon. Hey, that kid over there in Alabama, you can go play in Oregon, and you're still going to get the same look playing against the same competition. Yeah, and that question, is the NIL still effective? Yes, and I think it's going to benefit California teams more so than a lot because we do have so much money with tech, biotech, whatever else we got. We have a lot of money. Especially in LA, you have the entertainment business. If I'm offering a kid from Alabama, hey, you can come and get into the entertainment industry, and I'm gonna give you $50,000 right off the bat just to sign with us. More so where Alabama can't offer that same thing. They can't offer it. So I think the shift, and we talked about it last week, the shift with these teams coming in, is this the end of Alabama's new era since they lost to Tennessee? Me personally, I think it's going to be a slow attrition of them. I really do, because Alabama can't offer the same thing that some of these schools do. What was that last comment? I didn't see it. Could you put that back up, James? I don't know.
Yeah, Jim was talking about schools like UCR, CBU, and CSUN will get much more consideration from athletes, which is great.
Well, I think those schools in my opinion, need to bring back football. None of those schools have football. if they want to attract more student athletes to the school. And basketball wise, yeah, I think they'll be able to do some different things, but that's if they get bumped up. If those teams, I don't know, they'll stay the same. They won't get bumped in the conference because they don't have all the sports to compete at those conferences. So they'll still be where they're either Division II or Division I AA, where they stay. But definitely teams like that are in the Mountain West, the top tier of the Mountain West, I think are all going to be considered to move to the Pac-12 for those 4 vacancies.
Man, reach into your bag of tricks and find someone who isn't coaching right now, who's got a couple of minutes to talk about some of this. I know you know folks at the college.
Tell Kieran join. Kieran knows this. He need to jump on.
Man, come on, brother. You know the code to get into the room here. You've been here. I told you this is you family now, so you know how to get in. I think let's talk about that, because that's a good question about, you know, all these conferences moving and the realignment, and then where the kids want to go. Where does NIL fit into that? Because again, the NIL money is a lot different in LA than it is in Cleveland, than it is in Alabama. I mean, I'm sure it's happening over there too, but you know, it's a whole different dynamic, a whole different world. So we should talk about that.
I think what people need to understand, though, I think they need to understand college football now, even more so since it's kind of got a free agency feel about it, is now going to be competing with the NFL with dollars, because of the TV money is so big.
Yeah.
It is it's going to be so big. So we gotta keep it real. That athletic director from Alabama is smiling up a cheek because he's been in the playoffs for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting number. Think about this. They've been in the playoffs for the last 5 years. You know how much money Alabama's gotten for them being in the playoffs for the last 5 years?
Can't count that.
Each pop has been no less than $5 million. Anywhere from $5 to $10 million. That school has made $5 to $10 million for 5 years for a football team to just play the sport. So let's take the latter end. 4 years, $20 million. You know what $20 million can do to any program? Changes the whole dynamic of it. So
that'll get you a real feel, get you real lockers, get you real.
Yes.
Look at what Deion did at Jackson State.
I was going to bring that up. Look, I don't think people understand Jackson State.
Yeah.
Deion State. Well, this is his 3rd year at Jackson State. So much money has been infused with Jackson State since he's been winning.
Yep.
Jackson State now, I believe personally, will petition to become Division I instead of Division I AA in the next year or so. And that's the reason why they're building a brand new stadium, so they can fit the criteria to become a Division I school. They already know they can compete at that level. Now he has turned a school that was 3 years ago in the tank. Admission-wise, it went down by 12%. Football scene was not winning. Deion just came in and infused it. Their enrollment has increased by 30%.
Not just athletes.
Deion has changed. Huh?
Not just athletes. Yeah. Okay. I was going to say not just.
30% enrollment increase there. They're getting a brand new stadium. They're infused with money, and Deion has put not only Jackson State but HBCU in a situation where now they get TV money, and they're building a historical black college network for them, which I told you about that a long time ago. There will be a network for HBCUs. He's aligned them with just the fact of winning and playing football, where they're being talked into hundreds of $1 million conversations.
Right. He even got the water working. Go ahead, Tony Davis. Go ahead and make it plain. Like my pastor used to say, let's make it plain. He even got the water working over there in Jackson.
Think about that, Jack. I hope our listeners think about it. Everybody think about it. 3 years ago, they were in the tank.
Yeah.
They're now talking about $100 million conversations with Jackson State.
Yeah.
In 3 years, average of $30 million a year, he's grossing into the school.
All goodness.
In Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah. We're not talking about Arizona. We're not talking about Nevada. We're not talking about even in Iowa. We're talking about Jackson, the poorest state in the country. Jackson State, Mississippi, is talking about an average of $30 million increase in surplus of money in that campus. Amazing.
Right.
When it does.
And it's all good news. It's all man, that's good stuff. So let's do this, because I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. I know we still got a lot of folks watching. I see you on Twitter too. I see you on YouTube and even on the Facebook. But we want to be cognizant of time and bring have another session, right? Continue this conversation. And I saw a comment that I want to make sure that we're going to research this, Chief, right, about the Wisconsin volleyball team. I don't know anything about it. I've seen some headlines and some stories. I haven't dove into it, but I know something's going on. But let's get our facts right first before we talk about it. But I just wanted to let you know that I saw that particular comment, man, and I see my dad over here, man. He causing trouble, man. See, come on, brother, don't do that. He didn't put me on. Not yet. I still got
Oh,
48 hours. I still got 48. Don't
okay.
I still got to make it 48 more hours. We'll see.
You about to make that trip around? You almost made that trip around the sun, man. You 48 hours away.
I've been around the sun a handful of times, man. They know me around them.
Happy birthday, bro. Hey, man, happy birthday, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. A little early, but it's all good. Appreciate you. This is what we do, folks. Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Team No Sleep, myself, Montel Allen. We talk about the social impact of sport. We got into it tonight. Didn't even talk about my World Series prediction. Who'd I say from the giddy up I wanted to get?
Astros, man.
Who'd I say from the giddy up I wanted to be in the series? Man, I need Dusty Baker to get his title. I don't really like the Astros, but I need Dusty to get his title. Dusty Baker has a winery up here in Northern California. I was just talking to my dad about this the other day. Man, if Dusty wins, we gonna go and we celebrate. Everyone in Northern California come up here and I'm treating. We popping bottles. We popping Cabernet all over the place if the Astros win at Dusty Baker's winery, man. Send us home, brother. Send us home.
I'm with you. Hey, all I gotta say, man, thank you for everybody for joining our platform, man. God bless everyone. And like our saying says, please get comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations, because that's how we learn.
That's it. Y'all be good. Appreciate y'all. Thank you again for the early birthday wishes, everyone. And y'all be good to yourself. We out.